Good morning, everybody. This is Kathy with Premier Companies. How are you doing this morning? I have on the phone with us, I have Mike Zimmeretti from National Life Group. He's our Regional Vice President with them. And we're starting a series for 2016 called We Mean Business. And by that, Mike, I'm going to have you explain what we're doing. Can you hear me, Mike?
Yes, I can. I hope you can see my screen.
I can. Your screen's beautiful. Thank you.
Just for you. Well, Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to 2016. My gosh, I can't believe the year. I must be getting older, and my parents kind of ring in my ears. They say, wait till you get older. Every year seems like it just flies by. And indeed, 2015 just flew by, another record year for the National Life Group. But I'm excited to start 2016 with the We Mean Business webinar series. The Life team, headed up by Kathy Elkins at Premier Life and Annuities, had a very innovative idea to kick off 2016. We've had a lot of success in providing value proposition for people that are working with business owners and planning with business owners. So Kathy had the great idea of let's set up some modules because we have a lot of great things coming in the next few months. Let's just have a series of discussions on how to deal with business owners, and we'll get into why we selected those business owners. So let's kind of move forward, and let's talk about why the National Life Group and what we're going to be talking about. Some of the strategies coming up in our upcoming series, on the 18th of January at 10 o'clock Central Time, we will talk about buy-sell strategies, and we'll be rolling out a new module on our website to give you a timeline and a state-of-the-art look-see into how buy-sell works and what all is involved in getting involved in that area. Today, of course, we're going to talk about Key Person, as it's now called, but known in the industry as Key Man Insurance. And then on February the 1st, I really urge you to tune in to that WebEx because we're going to have a special guest. Our advanced sales attorney, Ellen Lamert, will be talking about a new strategy for a lot of you called a retained earnings concept, using retained earnings of a business to fund life insurance programs and use some tax leverage. And then later on in February and March, we're going to have a special guest from a third-party administrator, Mary Reed, talking about the different types of qualified plans and executive benefits available. And then we'll move on from there and build throughout the year, talking about items such as premium finance and other things that you may find useful in working with business owners. Now, some of you may have already started hyperventilating and said, oh my gosh, this is a lot of minutia. I don't know a lot of all these things. How am I going to be able to approach business owners and start these conversations and not embarrass myself and get it done, get the job done? Well, the National Life Group has been in business for 167 years. Some of you may or may not have heard of us. Some folks know us as National Life of Vermont. Some know us as Life of the Southwest, LSW. But regardless, the National Life Group for 167 years has had a career organization, and within that career organization, they have built a lot of infrastructure and a lot of value proposition that you, as an independent agent, can tap into free of charge. Part of that is the advanced market sales team manned by two sales attorneys, or actually not sales attorneys, they're estate and business planning attorneys. We have a CPA Advantage program that you can learn about that we may talk about in future WebExes, because you need to know how to deal with CPAs and how to work with them, because they work with a lot of business owners that you will actually be conversing with and applying some of these concepts with, and it'd be nice to be able to work in tandem with them and then get them to refer other clients to you as well. We've built some new micro websites that'll be launched in February that you're going to find state-of-the-art. No one in the industry has these. There'll be advanced calculators. You'll be able to look at buy-sell situations and do some formulations on what businesses are worth without having to go to outside sources and pay money for that. And of course, using your team at Premier Life and National Life, we have illustration support and case design. Here's a good-looking bunch. That's our Advanced Strategies team, and I just wanted you to know that in the 28 years I've been involved in insurance distribution, this is one of the finest home office casts I've ever seen. We have, again, two business planning attorneys on staff that you can talk to at any time that will help you. They'll even talk to your clients or your clients' tax accountants or tax attorneys, as long as you're on the line with them. We have a qualified plans team that can walk you through case design and basically take information from you and give you advice as to, what may work and what may not work. So let's get into it. Let's grow your business together. This is session 1, key person insurance. So you may be saying to yourself, why small businesses? Why did we choose this? Well, it's pretty simple. There are a ton of small businesses out there, and as I go through this presentation, your eyes should pop wide open when you see the opportunity. But I want you to think about something. Small business owners are unique in that they have 2 checkbooks. They have their personal checkbook as a family person and an individual, and they have their business checkbook. And that is doubling, obviously, your opportunity to talk about a multiplicity of conversations. But they also have multiple concerns. They have a duality, if you will. They're concerned about their day-to-day business and their profitability, which kind of carries over to their family issues as well. A lot of small business owners are thinking about selling their business down the road to be a big part of their retirement, or they may be looking to have a succession of family members come in and buy them out and take over the business and keep it in the family. But nevertheless, business owners have the same concerns as family members at large. So let's look at that. What matters to individuals and families? 70% in this day and age are concerned about not having enough money for retirement. That's why when you ask somebody when they're going to retire, they usually start the answer off with a laugh and say, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to retire right now. I don't think I've saved enough money. And of course, some people may not want to retire and just stay in the game. A lot of people, 54%, are concerned about not being able to pay medical bills. That's a huge bankrupter of retirement savings. And of the younger crowd, 55% are concerned about college funding. Now, if we take this and move it over to what matters most to small business owners and the affluent that may or may not be connected with small businesses, think about this one. 91% of small business owners get their business advice from their tax accountants. They get their tax advice from their tax accountants and their CPAs. And unfortunately, are you ready for this? They get their financial planning advice from some of these CPAs. And as we all may or may not know, some CPAs and tax accountants are not insurance friendly. They don't view life insurance as positively as maybe they should. They don't know about the new kind of life insurance that's out there with living benefits and guaranteed income riders. So they're a little skewed and a little, standoffish when it comes to putting these type of programs or actually networking with an insurance professional to bring these programs to business owners because they don't understand them. So what do people do when they don't understand something? They shy away from it and they put it on the back burner, or they say, you know what, you don't want to do that. And when you look at this graphic, what should really jump out is 26% of business owners have some kind of a succession plan in place, and only 35% have some type of a retirement plan in place. Now, you may be scratching your head and saying, why is that? Well, I'll give you the answer. It's a 2-part answer. Number 1, I just answered it with business owners get most of their advice from their tax professionals who are, not really into providing a retirement issue planning solutions. But number 2, and equally as important, business owners are engaged in the day-to-day running of their business, and that's a handful. When you look at running a business and running a family, there isn't much time left to do other things, and business owners are notorious for not setting aside the time to be able to do any type of financial planning. They're just too busy running their business. So that's a great opportunity for you, and we're going to talk about the conversations. The X factor in all this, and I've done this for 28 years, most insurance professionals are nervous about approaching business owners because they don't know how to start the conversation. They don't know the timeline of certain concepts like, well, what's the difference between a buy-sell and a key man program and an overall succession plan? We're going to talk about buy-sell on January the 18th, which involves some documents, but we're going to make it simple, and we're going to make understanding key person insurance very simple. But the art of the conversation is the art. So let's get into it. Who is a key person? How do I start this conversation? Well, it's really simple. A key person is the person who knows the secret sauce. They may be the founder, co-owner, owner of a business. They bring certain physical or intellectual skills to a business. So let's stop and let's think about some businesses out there particularly small, closely held business like a dry cleaning establishment, or how about a golf shop? You know, there's a golf tech in town here in Tampa, Florida, where I'm coming to you live from. And think about the special skills that the people in these businesses bring. Let's look at because I'm a golfer now, let's look at the golf shop. Sure, golf repair may bring in revenue and golf equipment sales, but perhaps the owner also gives golf lessons in that store. If the owner is disabled and can no longer give golf lessons, or God forbid they die, will the shop continue to function, or do they die with the owner? And I think we all know this is pretty much commonsensical. There are so many people involved in a business that make it go, whether it's the owner, the manager, or the frontline salespeople, or the people that do the day-to-day. And without those folks, temporarily, or for whatever reason they leave the business and are unavailable to the business can just go belly up. It could be the death sentence to the business. So let's look at some of the specific issues that may be, and I'm just going to move something here on my screen so I could see, but I think loss of market confidence, the net overall worth of the business, the market itself may lose confidence. Let's look at the dry cleaning establishment. It actually happened to me. There was a mom and pop dry cleaners down the street, and unfortunately the gentleman had a massive heart attack, and he actually, God bless him, he had a heart transplant 2 years later, but I never saw the guy. And I didn't want to say anything because I travel a lot, and I thought maybe he passed away, and it was an awkward situation. I didn't know what to say to the wife, and then finally I saw him there one day. But the wife looked like she was so stressed out because she was working long hours. They hired someone that was pretty cheap because they didn't have the money to hire someone else because the husband and wife did the majority of the work in the dry cleaning establishment. So they started losing market share and market confidence because orders were getting lost. Shirts and blouses were getting burnt when they were pressed because the new person in there really wasn't a skilled person and not as good as the husband was. And staff defections, one of their top people left because people were complaining and they couldn't stand working the counter because of all that. And this business really hung on the edge. Now, you're saying, well, this person didn't die, Mike. If he died, the life insurance proceeds would have gone to either hire someone else to take that person's place or reduce debt, or a multitude of either or. But with the National Life Group, with our life portfolio possessing living benefits, a person like that could have went in either under terminal, chronic, critical injury, or critical illness. And in the case of the dry cleaners, critical illness, dealing with heart disease and heart transplantation or even stroke, money could have been taken out from the living benefit portion to be used by the business to keep the business going, to hire other people in the short term or the mid-range until this gentleman was going to come back to work, or maybe he was never going to come back to work and they simply had to hire someone else. There are many reasons that keep people leave a business. It could be death, disability, retirement, or they simply quit. And I want to put something out to you. I think we all, as we age, we see people in our community come and go and deal with a variety of health issues, but I have learned at my age that people just don't keel over and die. And that's fundamental to financial planning. There's usually an illness or an incapacitation that has occurred over months or years that eventually leads to the death. I think I've only known one or two people out of a lot of deaths where people just passed away in their sleep or went quick from a massive heart attack and keeled over. And I don't mean to be morbid by this, but we're in a financial planning mindset, and we have to point out this risk management to our clients, in particular our business owners, that there's this, there's two waves that come with any death or disability. Number one is the emotional wave. But number two, very quickly behind that, is the financial wave, and which one's more devastating. And then, of course, retirement. If a key person decides to call it quits and say, I'm leaving. Look at restaurants. When the chef says, I'm leaving, you can always tell when a restaurant doesn't do well. It's usually management or the person in the kitchen has left or got fired, and the food quality has gone downhill, and it's not too long before the restaurant goes upside down. And the dilemma, or the conundrum, is my word of 2016, The conundrum to any management is, do we have the money to hire somebody? In the case of somebody quitting, maybe they quit because they weren't making enough money because the restaurant or the business wasn't doing well. How do you lure in a person of equal talent if the first person quit because they weren't making any money? How do you expect somebody else to come in? So key person insurance is vital, and it's very simple. How does it work? The business purchases a life insurance policy on a single key employee or maybe 2 or 3 employees that they identify as absolutely vital to the business. The life insurance company issues the life insurance policy, and at the death of the key employee, the business receives income tax-free, the death benefit paid, to be able to do a lot of things. And what could the business do? They may prepare to sell it, but maybe they have to do some things first. They have to lay off some staff, and they want to give them adequate severance. Maybe they need to hire someone else in temporarily till they get the business to, it's timing of risk management of the economy. Remember back in 2008, if you owned a real estate agency when sales plummeted and the industry went flatline, how would you be able to sell an agency? You couldn't. Nobody wanted to buy it. They were a dime a dozen. So you'd probably have to kind of stick it out and maintain the business. And now real estate is back, and maybe you had to hang on to it for 5, 6, 7 years. Where does the money come to do that? More importantly, living benefits as well. Because, again, it's not just death of a key employee, it's the incapacitation due to illness, chronic illness. I mean, my gosh, once you hit 50, a lot of folks are looking at a lot of chronic illnesses like the start of MS or ALS or Parkinson's or, heart disease, or how about battling cancer? That is something we see every day in America, and unfortunately, depending on the staging of the cancer, there's so many different treatments. Some are very aggressive, involving surgery, a regimen of chemotherapy and radiation. Well, that employee can't come to work. They're pretty ill going through their radiation and their chemotherapy and recovering after surgery. It could be a 6 to 8 month project. What does the business do without that vital person? So again, this is a huge concept, a huge conversation point that many business owners are opening to talking about, because they may shock you and say, I've worried about that many a time, but I never really thought about it. How do we contain that risk? Well, life insurance lets you reduce or even eliminate that risk by providing the death benefit or portions of the death benefit in a tax-free situation and living benefits. The costs, expenses, and potential loss of revenue are also something on the balance sheet, and this is something you can talk to CPAs and tax attorneys when they maybe poo-poo the life insurance sale and say, well, what are you doing here with my client? Being able to lay this stuff out, and they can understand it and say, well, yeah, if my client dies or becomes incapacitated or they lose their partner or a key employee quits, there's a cost associated with that and potential losses of revenue, and the timeline of finding another key employee to be able to replace that person could be anything. And it all comes down to dollars and cents. It's kind of the golden rule. He who has the most gold rules, and without it, it's hard to maintain a business and thrive. Here's how it works again. Simply, you and your life insurance professional sits down with the client. You kind of forecast the financial impact of the loss of a key employee on your business. The company buys, owns, pays the premiums on, and is a beneficiary of the life insurance policy covering the key employee's life, and also living benefits is in there as well. And at the death or the incapacitation or disability of the client, you'll be able to tap into that life insurance policy for additional cash to deal, and where I want to put a commercial in for the National Life Group and Premier Life and Annuity. This is where the advanced sales desk team comes into play, where you can, every situation is different. My gosh, I know when I was a life insurance professional out there, every time I tried to prospect either a business owner or an individual family, there was always something unique about that situation that threw a kind of curveball at everybody, and we were like, wow, how do we deal with this? And who do I go to for mentorship who has dealt with this before? And having 2 business planning attorneys on the sales desk that you can access, again, free of charge, to kick ideas around, to scan documents and send to them. It's a tremendous value proposition. Death benefit also helps keep lines of credit open. There's a lot of things that people don't understand, that if death occurs in a business setting or a disability, there are a lot of things under the radar that need to be propped up. And again, it's money, it's cash. The ability and the lack of cash could really be devastating and sink the ship, as it were. Provide funds to replace and train new employees that are going to eventually take over the person that has left or has become sick. Provides assets to polish the cash values, and that's why the conversation comes up. Well, some of these guys already have term policies. I got to tell you, a term policy is great. Please buy some kind of life insurance rather than no life insurance at all. But you know, I used to be a big proponent of buying cheap and investing the difference. But now that I specialize in permanent life insurance programs, I could see that, you know, you don't want to stay in a term product way too long, because eventually that term product is going to become very expensive, and you need the protection throughout your entirety of your life. And again, if you follow what I said in the beginning of this WebEx, most people are not looking like the old days to kind of get out at age 65 and sell the business and retire and move on. And I'm one of those people. I'd love to wholesale life insurance till I'm 70 years old, maybe 75, because I would just go crazy. I'd go stir crazy if I retired at 65. What am I going to do? You know. So, and the same with the business owners today. They're probably going to run their businesses till they're 65, 70, 80 years old, maybe 85. I worked for an insurance vice president that he owned the company at Presidential Life. He was in the saddle till he was age 90. And it was interesting to see, but he kept going. And again, if you do need term, we do have term with conversion privileges that have living benefits, but it's a robust discussion. Don't let a business owner say, well, I've got term, you know, I'm good. You know, that may or may not work. So how do we start a conversation with business owners about key man or about anything, buy, sell, as you'll learn in a couple of weeks? Try a checkup, and we have business owner checkups that you could access through Premier Life and Annuity through their life team. It's a non-threatening way to start having these conversations with business owners. It's applicable to every business owner. Essentially what I call it is identifying what keeps a business owner up at night. What do they worry about? And they have a whole set of things they worry about that we're going to kind of get into. Most business owners have been impacted by recent economic environmental situations. 75% of business owners feel that the uncertainty in the financial markets will affect their business at some point. We're going to look at that in a second. So every business can benefit from a checkup, whether they have a plan in place or whether they haven't. And if you want to write something down, I love this phrase. When someone asks you, what do? You can kind of throw this in with your elevator speech and say, I work with business owners and I redesign their programs, their insurance programs, to bring them up to date, because I find that a lot of folks took out programs that were inadequate, or before there was the modern day life insurance you didn't have to die to use, i.e. life with living benefits that really solves a lot of these solutions or short-term solutions. So here are some of the things that can affect businesses. Economic environment, as we saw in 2008. Business growth up and down. Profitability, that wanes, that comes and goes. Management changes. Business partners. Sometimes business partners don't get along and they fight and they try to buy each other out, or somebody just checks out and says, you know, I'm still a partner, but I'm not going to work as hard as I usually do. Or they get sick, you know, or they become disabled. Employee turnover is frustrating. Family involvement. If you've ever been with a family business, it's, oh my gosh, it's crazy, because there's a lot of emotion there, and there's a lot of family involvement, and too many cooks in the kitchen, and it gets to be crazy. In an additional family, I've seen a business where the son got married, and he hired his spouse and brought her into the business, and she became a key employee. So there's a lot of things that can change in a short period of time. So it's a very discreet, non-threatening way to take a fresh look, and again, try to put in your vocabulary, I'm here to redesign, you know, your program, or redesign your key man program to bring it up to date and make sure that there's no hidden potholes anywhere. Okay, so what's in it for the employer to have a business checkup or to even have these conversations? The business owner gets a second opinion on existing arrangements, or a second opinion that they could talk with their CPA on. Actually, a lot of business owners have thought about doing this kind of planning, but never got around to it. And unfortunately, as great as all this is, folks, some of the business owners are not going to be insurable. And you're going to find that out when you take an application, and you may have to go to a plan B, which could be an annuity or some type of self-funding mechanism. But additional needs can be identified and plans can be formulated with your help. What's in it for you, the insurance professional? Well, it cements relationships with those business owners, who in turn introduce you to other centers of influence. Of course, there's commissions payable on new product sales, etc. So in summary, funding with life insurance may provide businesses the ability to continue the business at the death of an owner, pay off business loans, provide funds to recruit and train new management, provide funds to hire consultants to replace lost talent, purchase the deceased partner's interest from his or her family in lieu of a formal buy-sell agreement, which I really urge you to tune into on January the 18th. Ellen Lamert, our advanced sales attorney, does an incredible job with buy-sell, and she has a new micro website that you're all going to want to partake in. It's phenomenal and probably be one of the industry's finest. It also, life insurance offers important employee benefits. It provides a vehicle for key employees to defer income on tax-advantaged basis, provide them income. Maybe they're on commission. Think about how many people are on commission in these businesses. They might get a small salary, but they make the bulk of their money on commission, and they're out sick and battling cancer or heart disease when they get older. So, access to living benefits and, life insurance is very, very important. In addition to business needs, the business owner has personal needs for life insurance, because remember at the outset I said business owners are no different than middle America family owners, or middle America families. They have the same needs and concerns as each and every one of us. So kind of drawing down on everything, the foundation of a great financial plan is to take the puzzle of life, which you could see here, which is one of the National Life Group's monikers. When you look at our sales material, you'll see this branding everywhere. If we knew two things in financial planning, when our client was going to die and what they were going to die of, financial planning would be a piece of cake. But we just don't. It's another conundrum of life. We just don't have that crystal ball. So I need something that'll cover me if I die too soon. However, my goal in life is, and this is what I always, if you want a little tidbit from Mike Zemeretti to open a conversation, ask a business owner what keeps them up at night. There's two things I would ask a business owner. First thing I would ask him is, tell me about your business. And then be quiet and listen to everything they say. And then after they're done, you can interject with, well, what keeps you up at night? And if they don't respond, you could say, well, I work with business owners all the time, and here's what keeps them up at night. Does that sound familiar? And then here's the Mike Zemeretti ism that I've coined in my 9 years with the National Life Group. What do we all have in common on this call? And what do people that we meet day to day have in common with us? What we all have in common is we all want to live as long as we possibly can, and we're going to do whatever it takes to live as long as we possibly can. Well, if that's the case, common sense would dictate that something, unfortunately, I hate to be a buzzkill here, but we're dealing in reality, something's coming to get us. We don't know what it is. Is it heart disease? Is it a stroke? Is it cancer of some sort? Is it a dementia? Is it organ failure? We could go on and on and on and on. So becoming ill is a huge facet of life that we're all going to deal with. And again, cash on hand, or the ability to get tax-free income somewhere, or partial distribution from a living benefit situation, really quells the problem or makes it easier to deal with. And of course, if it's befitting, if I'm going to live or try to live as long as I possibly can, I'm really concerned about outliving my income. So these are everything that we're trying to put into these plans, but also deal with what the business owners are looking for. So I promised the life team at Premier Life and Annuity that I would keep this short and sweet because key person insurance is a very simple topic. It's commonsensical, but we're going to build into some more sophisticated opportunities. And our next session will be January the 18th, same time, same channel, 10 o'clock Central Time, and we're going to talk about buy-sell. And I encourage all of you to be on that WebEx. And I want to turn this back to Kathy and her life team, and thank you for inviting me today, Kathy.
Thanks, Mike. That was really great. A lot of great information out there that you're sharing with us. I do have a few people asking a couple questions.
Okay.
Someone's asking for the business checkup, and that
Okay,
we will go ahead and email that. Okay, and we'll email that out to all the agents. That way you do have it. If you have any questions on that too, make sure you're giving us a call. Also, how does the employer benefit financially? Let me read, this is really tiny. So how does the employer benefit financially when a non-family member has a living benefit situation?
Because the business owns the life insurance contract. The employee is merely the insured. The benefits are paid to the business, and then the business actually pays out what they want to pay out. So when you do excess living benefits, it is a taxable situation, but it is a wash because the business can write it off as paying out income. But it's great for the business because if you look at traditional key person or key man insurance as it's been sold in the past, the only trigger was death. If the employee didn't die, there really wasn't a benefit there other than maybe if there was some cash value and you used the right product, you could tap in through the loan process and take out cash and be able to continue paying, for either an employee to take over a new employee or train a new employee or to help an existing employee get back on their feet. So that's really how it would benefit, is basically have the business knowing that they have additional ways to tap into the death benefit and to be able to take partially or fully money out of that to deal with an extraordinary occurrence with a key person.
Right. And just to let everybody know, this is recorded, so we'll go ahead and make sure you have a recording out as well. Then ask that. And is it possible to combine term and whole life on a key man policy?
Oh, absolutely. There are a lot of design situations, and that's why it's great to be able to have these conversations with the advanced sales team and the team at Premier Life, because again, my mantra as a regional vice president, again, I've been in this business for 28 years, and I will never look someone in the eye and say one carrier has an end-all solution for everybody. I look at everybody out there as being doctors. That's my analogy, Kathy. The insurance professionals are doctors. The clients are the patients. The insurance carriers are the prescriptions of the pharmaceutical companies. Only after the doctor examines the patient, so to speak, can they write a prescription. And the prescription shouldn't be the same all the time. You should make combinations and concept designs to fit every unique situation.
Right. That's a good analogy. I like that.
And again, I'd like to, if I may, I like the analogy because sometimes some of your competition out there are mere transactional, and please don't take this expression the wrong way. I call them product peddlers. They seize on one product, and they go out and they jam it down everybody's throat, and they say, hey, everybody needs $1 million worth of term with, volcanic life because it's cheap. And they think that people want to buy cheap because, they're afraid to go in and say, look, do you want the finest? Do you want the best? And here's why you need this. You got to go out and give them the why before, you write the prescription. So.
Right. It's kind of like us, the way we do things here, too, is we have spreadsheets at our website for people to run term quotes, but we don't always give you the cheapest because there's many, many reasons why.
Right, and again, I don't turn my nose up at term. There is a time and a place for cheap term. I'd rather see a client get cheap term if they're sitting on the fence. And if I may put in a plug for us, our term is not cheap, because we have all the living benefits in, but what we do that's unique over other carriers, we allow you to convert the term to any of our permanent products that are for sale. And that's big because usually other carriers already have picked out a really, and I'm being polite, a diluted, not so nice product for conversion that's really not competitive, and the client's very disappointed, but the client can't go anywhere because maybe their health has changed dramatically, so that's the only option they have. So it's nice. Our term is a little bit more expensive, but it has all the living benefits: terminal, chronic, critical illness, injury, and illness, and has the ability to convert to any product we sell.
It's a good offer right there.
Thank
I have
you.
another question here. Can a business owner protect himself from a key man leaving to go to work with someone else?
That's something that you would talk to our advanced sales attorney. Usually that's a contractual, if you have a contract and you'd have a non-compete clause. There are some ways to design benefits with what they call golden handcuffs, which handcuffs someone to their particular business for that main reason. Because once you get somebody up and running and they know the ingredients to the secret sauce, and then somebody comes along and waves a little bit more money to them and wants to lure them away, sometimes the benefit handcuffs of the business paying for certain benefits that maybe somebody else isn't keeps that employee or rewards that loyal employee for not leaving. But that'd be a great question for Ellen Lamert.
Okay.
When we have her.
We got a couple more, and that agent said thank you. And I have another question. Who do I talk to about the conversion policies through Premier? Well, that would be your marketers with here.
Correct. Correct.
Our 800 number is 1-800-365-8208, and just ask for a life marketer.
By the way, Kathy, I'd like to put another plug, if I may. I know you deal with many carriers, but I think you and I have talked many a time that one of the biggest value propositions that the National Life Group has, and for those of you that don't know, we own Life of the Southwest, LSW. We've been in business 167 years, but we have an incredible website. And I know that a lot of you on this call, and I compliment you for getting on Monday morning in the new year. There's a lot of people on this call, but we have National Life Group University that has more information on all of these concepts. And Ellen Lamert, when she unveils the retained earnings concept on February 1st and also the buy-sell on the 18th of January, kind of jumped around there a little bit, sorry about the order. But I'm really excited about it because we really have thought about what the needs are of the agent in the field, where the value proposition is, can you really give me a micro website where I could click on it and listen to other producers, how they've had success with buy-sell, and how do they start the conversations, how do they finish it, what are the documents involved, what do they look like, can I look at all this stuff, can I see the timeline start to finish of what's involved before I stick my toe in the water? We have all of that, and we're going to have all of that. So it's not just product, it's process and solution that will also help you in this endeavor.
Wonderful. And I have another question that's popped up. How fast can I get contracted? Right away. We'll send contracting out to you immediately. Because you do want to make sure that you're appointed and have your things going. That way you're able to.
Well, that's a great question, whoever asked that, because you can't access our website until you're contracted with us. So that's a great idea. Start learning.
Exactly. Start learning, get the information correctly, and if you have any questions, you need to call us or call, into you guys, National Life Group. They're going to ask for your agent number. This way you have one. Exactly.
One of the big topics, Kathy, we're going to be talking about CPA Advantage. I kind of touched on it. There is a huge movement out there now to really work with CPAs and tax advisors to help them understand these various life concepts and approaches, because ultimately, and I'm trying to be your best friend here and coach at the same time, you don't want your heart broken in one of these sales where you do all this running around and all this legwork and all this mental anguish to put all this together and package it, and then all of a sudden you got the app and the clients had the paramed, and all of a sudden when it gets time to collect the check, you get that look, and they said, oh, I don't know how to tell you this, Kathy, but I went to my CPA and they think this is a dumb idea. And the only reason the CPA thought it was a dumb idea, they just didn't understand what was going on because that wasn't their forte. And again, back to my slide, 91% of all business, and it's not just business owners, it's people in general on our planet. They'll go to somebody else for a third party. What do you think? I'm writing a big check here. What do you think? And very rarely do people know what they're talking about, and they always seize the negative. So CPA Advantage, we have a program. We'll probably include that, Kathy, in our webinar series where we have a series of CPE credit that we could give CPAs. But even if you don't want to go to that depth, we have information that you could read on how to work with a CPA and save some of these sales from going elsewhere.
Wonderful. It jumped on your website last week, and I was able to find a lot of good detailed information out there that you have now, and I'm sure Ellen's going to be sharing a lot more information out there for anybody who's wanting to work with business owners.
I think what you'll also find, we have niche products, but I cannot over-accentuate, again, in the 28 years that I am so passionate about this, as you know, Kathy, because living benefits, we pioneered and innovated living benefits in the Lifetime Income Benefit Rider, which provides tax-free income guaranteed for life. First time it's ever been put on an IUL chassis. There's only 2 carriers with it out there. We have the most complete set of living benefits in the industry today. Some people have copied us, but nobody has the complete set. And the reason this is a big deal, because I have agents say, well, big deal. Who cares? Well, you know, it could double, triple, and quadruple your closing ratios because, you know, goodness knows, having been out there face-to-face in a sales process, you need multiple conversations to be able to draw upon should somebody in the process, whether it's a partner or a spouse or a family member, has a negative attitude towards life insurance. You got to be able to talk about more than just death benefit, price, and you know, the company. You got to have some sizzle, and you got to talk what's in it for me now. Life insurance I don't have to die to use. If I can get money out now because I want to live forever, and I know something's going to try to take me down or is going to eventually take me down, and I'm going to need to deal with it. If you can help me, give me options, I'm excited. So I'm really excited about the living benefit story because that's really the icing and the cherry on the whipped cream in the sales process.
Wonderful. Yeah, your products are awesome. Not only besides the living benefits, I mean, everything else that goes with it. It's a whole package, which is great. I got one more question on
Go ahead.
Oh, I have one more question here that came on contracting, and we'll go ahead and email the link out to you, and it's an online contracting link that you'll have to do to get appointed?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike. What were you saying?
Somebody said to me the other day, they said, well, this is a great living benefit story, but boy, but your cost of insurance is higher, and you know, and comparable, we're about the same as the rest in the industry, but what's interesting is we have never raised our cost of insurance in 167 years of doing business in the life insurance industry, and as a matter of fact, we've reduced our cost of insurance twice in our policies. So we're a very solid company with no financial skeletons. And again, I'm not trying to give you a commercial, but when you're in these environments dealing with business owners, high net worth people, or middle America, today we have a much more educated consumer that wants to know a lot about the company they're buying for. Are they foreign owned or are they domestic? Who are they? What are they about? What's in it for me? You know, okay, you're backing up the hearse and you're talking about death, dying, and did I mention death? I get it, but I just don't want to talk about it right now. Give me something exciting to talk about. So the combination of the package is very powerful, and I'm really excited to bring you this series of WebEx.
Me too, me too. And just so the agents that are remaining on here, so you can kind of give an idea what I was thinking about when we were starting to do this, we have a lot of agents out there calling and asking the simple process. I have an agent, do you guys do key man? I need to do this. Have you guys ever heard of buy sell? We do this day in and day out. That's why we were bringing this information out to you guys so you can understand the full ideas that go behind it, why this is so popular nowadays, why this is other agents are looking at it to help you guys build around, because I know as agents, you all know a business owner. You know somebody who's in need of this, but the topic is not being brought up because you're kind of asking us, do we do it? But you need that additional help. Of course we do it. We can help you with this direction, but here's the help that you wanted in the past, and we're bringing it to you, and we're giving it to you. So 2016, you can actually go out there and rock it with the business owners.
Hey, Kathy, I don't want to give away the
Yes.
store when Ellen Lamer talks on January the 18th, but she's going to have a special announcement that with all of these new ins and outs with our new buy-sell program, there will be an announcement about some simplified issue on these products as well, which takes that sting out of the underwriting.
Ooh, nice.
And that's exciting. So I really urge a lot of people to be on that call. And kind of in summary, what really excites me about this total package is the key to all of this is not just knowing the conversations to have and the selection of the right products. You have to differentiate yourself from the competition. And that's why I'm really excited about my position and working with Premier Life and Annuity and Kathy, because consumers have a lot of choices out there of where to put their money. And we really feel that we differentiate ourselves right at the top of the charts with the multiplicity of conversations you can have with your clients about what our solutions do for the. And I learned a long time ago. I was one of those athletes that actually went to school when I was in college, and my marketing professor told me never confuse the consumer's need for choice when they make decisions. The more choice and the more sound choice you give them, the more success you're going to have.
Exactly. Make it simple and easier on them to understand.
Correct. Simplicity is the key in this, and that's what we strive to do, keeping these concepts very simple.
Wonderful. Well, Mike, I appreciate your time and everybody else's time.
Pleasure.
It looks like a lot of people are dropping off, but any questions that you do have,
everyone.
Yep, give us a call back in here. Again, the number is 800-365-8208, and just ask for a Life Marketer. And happy New Year's 2016. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.